Hopefully everyone can hear me. All right, guys. So we're using just the webcam streaming of whatchamacallit, YouTube's thing. Anyways, guys, let's get this party started. So, welcome to the first episode of TeleTalks Live. We're going to talk Squier Paranormal Series, which one I pre-ordered and which one is coming. Hint, it's a Tele. Sorry, I got this big old thing in my way. I hope everyone can hear me. Yeah, let's get this party started. Tonight we're going to talk, like I said, Squire Paranormal, and we're going to talk about my board or lack thereof. Sorry for the uninteresting angle and sorry for the terrible quality of the video. I was unaware that you had to have 1,000 subscribers to be able to use things like your phone. So that made just having to use my old 2012 MacBook Pro as webcam. So that's what we're using tonight. What we're drinking tonight, Harlan Brewing Company. This one's called Pink Boots. It's a pale ale with notes of hibiscus. It is quite delicious. It is quite refreshing. And just a nice overall beer. Got a big old crowler, 32 ounce. And yeah. So without further ado, let's talk Squire Paranormal Series. When this was announced, when it was leaked during NAMM 2020, I was extremely excited and extremely disappointed that I didn't get to see them in person. I don't believe they even had them there. So, but I was just scrolling through and I think it's a very strong lineup of some really great guitars. But let's talk Teles, okay? First, let's talk about the one that I'm kind of not interested in. Technically, it's not Tele. It's the offset Tele. I know a lot of people love these guitars, like they do. And let me know how the audio is, guys. Anyways, I know a lot of people love these guitars. They're whatever, like offsets or whatever. If you like that shape, but you want a Tele sound, I mean, then there you go. One's affordable. It's $400. Like, can't beat that. Even if you're like somewhat interested, that's cheap enough to pull the trigger and check it out, kind of thing. Now, bear with me here. I'll also have some people, Steve, messaging me on Messenger. Same with Brian from the Tone Trick, Steve from 60 Cycle. Anyway, that's besides the point. Let's talk about most recent acquisitions with pedals. I've actually expanded quite a bit and made quite a few purchases. So, probably the oldest purchase here that I've done, which is not old, it's like I've had for like 3 weeks, but out of these batches, is this. The Nocturne Brain, Mystery Brain, 301 preamp in Digitape Echo. If I could only have one pedal to do everything, it's going to be this guy. It's got a Space Echo preamp that you can engage and get some nice dirt with a Abbey switch that adds more harmonic content. So essentially not necessarily a second gain stage, but it does add some grittiness and some high-end frequencies that just poke a little more, I guess you could say, followed by a digital recreation of a Roland Space Echo on this one with a switchable modulation, and the modulation controls are speed and depth, obviously. You have a bass cut for the preamp pedal. And I didn't know this, but internally there's another setting for a second preamp that's more like a EP booster kind of thing that is linked to the Space Echo on here. So it's pretty awesome. Like I said, it has so many gain stages that because I run my amps or the HX Stomp, like the amps in their edge of breakup, this just is nice, a nice pedal to have because it can literally do it pretty much all. Also, it's mono. This right here is not an expression. What it is actually is if you use a TRS and you go out, it actually puts a pedal in between the preamp and the Space Echo, because a lot of people like to use, like, boost pedals into their drive. So essentially I could take the 1981 with the TRS, loop it in, and it would be in between the preamp and the Echo, which is kind of cool. But yeah, this has been a long time coming. It's kind of a dream. As you guys know, I had mentioned I had gotten the Collider by Source Audio, because one of my favorite sounds I ever was able to have in a room was this pedal and Tava from the Nocturbrains F-Bomb, which is their spring tank reverb. That pedal did great. It was cool. It was far too much what I needed. So I literally recently sold it, got this, and then decided to get a different reverb pedal, which brings me to my next acquisition that I got the other day. If you guys saw me on Instagram, this is the one that was packed terribly. But luckily it was okay. I got another Deluxe Plus by Mr. Black. I had the original one that's just a one switch, so the non-deluxe deluxe, and it is probably one of my favorite reverb pedals and trim pedals I've ever owned. This takes it to the next game by adding that second switch for the tremolo. And so these two together are just some vintage, good sounding, kind of dark, and just very tasteful together. So that's basically going to be my go-to reverb. And another great purchase. Like I said, wasn't packed very well. Luckily it works and it wasn't damaged. But yeah, now leads me to my two dirt purchases I recently got. You guys know what this is. It is 1981's Inventions DRV. Hard to come by. Go for stupid money on the used market. I actually originally got this to add to that used market. Because as a lot of you know, I don't like rat pedals. I don't. I've never found them very useful. The filter knob always gets me on them. Like it's either goes too far one end, too far the other one. It's very hard to find a good happy medium with the setup I kind of use. However, got this, and it's definitely a game changer when it comes to rat pedals. That added preamp really adds to it. One of my favorite settings is literally turning the DRV, the drive, all the way pretty much down and the volume all the way up, just using that preamp, and it's amazing. Enough to where I decided to keep it, and I like it a lot. I might sell it further down the road, but it's sticking with me for now. It's just a brilliant drive, and it's probably one of the most solid feeling pedals I've ever owned. I have a demo of this coming out. Let's just go on a tangent about that real quick. I have actually a new series of videos coming out doing really quick demos. Something that can just, content that can get to you guys that you guys can enjoy and put to use while I work on the longer edit stuff, such as talking tellies and keep it simple stupids. That way I can be more consistent with posting with you guys weekly. And so far, the demos that I have set up that are going to be coming out, this guy comes out probably about a week from now, which is awesome. Then you got this guy, which I got from Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum. When I was over there to do the Harley Benton Cabernita, I forget the model. I used this pedal and I actually really, really liked it. It is a cool sounding chorus. Probably one of my favorite chorus sounds I've been able to have, and I'm not like the hugest chorus guy, although I'm getting into it more and more. It's great for $50 new and like even cheaper used. Got that coming out. Got Half Horse coming out, which is just a classic. This is probably my favorite fuzz pedal. And Eric Mara, if you're listening or you're watching sometime in the future, you say this is not a fuzz pedal. Well, I beg to differ. Anyways, last but not least, if you guys follow me on Instagram, which if you don't, why don't you? Check me out on Instagram. Lastly, I purchased this. Got a really good deal on it. Is the Varitek's Dynamic Distortion. Got it used on reverb. Played it briefly. I really like it a lot. I mainly got it because I am working on a very stupid, completely vain, keep it simple, stupid. And you got it. It's gonna be all. Oh, my lighting is terrible. Sorry, guys. You know what? Let's see if I can rotate that a little bit. There we go. Anyways, nope, that didn't really help. Anyways, seafoam. I want to do an all seafoam board. I think that'd be cool. It definitely would match, my Cabernita, which is, as you guys know, my number one go-to. Anyways, fat sounding. Definitely like it. And let's go ahead and go through the rest of the board, which doesn't actually leave much. You already saw the chorus. My other delay would be my co-host on the podcast. Just surprised me. If you haven't checked us out, be sure to talk about random stuff. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's definitely not for children. Anyways, the Wells. It is an analog style delay. Has tap tempo. Small. It's perfect. Brian from the Tone Jerks is in the chat. What's going on, Brian? Just kind of going over my board, my most recent purchases, as you already know, because we talk on a day-to-day basis. Went through the 1980s one, the Mystery Brain Dynamic Distortion. Briefly talked about the Squier Paranormal, mainly only the offset Tele, and it's whatever. It's offset Tele. If that's your thing, go for it. Again, drinking tonight, Harlan Brewing Company, Pink Boots, Pale Ale with hibiscus notes. Delicious. So, this board is obviously going to be built around the HX Stomp. As many of you know, I live in an apartment. Paint the Dunlop Seafoam. I could. I'm actually going to get a topper from Andrew of Get Offset. So I'm going to have a Seafoam. So Rush has a gold one and I'll have a Seafoam. Is that what we're getting at? Anyways, Andrew from Get Offset, he's going to do me a custom TeleTalks topper that I'm going to put on this. That's also going on the board. And you've seen everything else that's on the board. Some of these are so new, there's no Velcro. So I'm going to actually go ahead and start by putting Velcro on these things. Now, the Velcro I have is from Pedal Train. I got fancy colored Velcro specifically from my demo board. I got like stuff all over it. Yeah, see what's going on there. Anyways, orange and hot pink. Looks cool. The hook and loop is actually really terrible. Like, it's pretty much useless. I wouldn't gig with it because people will be able to take your stuff off your board real easy, real quick, real fast. But I don't do that. I'm at home. So, that being said, Got my handy dandy pink scissors here. Now, I'm not a madman like it used to be back in the day where I would just like pretty much slap it like that and call it a fucking day. That's just too much. Just some slivers. Now, ideally, I don't know if I want to have both of these on the board, the dynamic 1981. I feel like they, while testing them out sonically, they did sound drastically different. They still are doing that high gain thing that I needed them to do. But for now, they're both going to go on the board until maybe a future time where I'll probably end up selling this one just because I got the dynamic distortion for so cheap. This guy, obviously goes on the used market for quite the pretty penny. I could definitely get my money back. Yeah, so we're going to use this hot pink because, that looks sexy, even though it's going to be on the back. So who really cares? But, have the 1981 be a preamp? Thought about that, but believe it or not, I got that covered with this guy. This preamp sounds a lot better, in my opinion. It does more. It plays well with other pedals better, I should say. Like earlier, dude, I was playing these two together with the preamp on. Is the fattest sounding like fuzz tone I've ever gotten. It was spectacular. It was quite amazing. Anyways, hot pink, y'all. There's a couple other pedals that don't have tape on it, so we're gonna do that. We're also gonna go ahead and Tavo went ahead and put these rubbers on, and well, I don't need those. I don't need those. Anyways, while I'm doing this, let's go back to talking paranormal series. All of them are really cool, but obviously I'm interested in the Teles, and I had to make a tough decision. Do I want the Cabernita with jazz pickups, or do I want the baritone with like P90 pickups? Which, if you go on their website, they don't actually say that they're P90. They just say that they're proprietary single coils, but they look like P90s. Well, as many as Brian included, who knows, I decided to go with the baritone. And I'll tell you why. The jazz pickups with the Cabernita is definitely on my list, but if I can only have one, I want the baritone just because I haven't had a baritone in a long time. And essentially, I could justify keeping it amongst my collection because it really does something completely different from any of my other guitars, where if I got the jazz Cabernita, it'd just be another Tele that has different pickups, which I have plenty of those. But the baritone does something entirely different. Now, obviously, the baritone, I'd have some water. Gotta keep hydrated. Last night, I went way too hard. It was a bad thing. Anyways, baritone obviously used for heavier music. That's not really my thing. I will be using it for more of this project that I have in mind that's gonna have a lot of synths in it, but definitely want guitar in it. And I feel like because I'll have a lot of low end from synths, I don't necessarily need a bass, but there might be times where I do. And I think the baritone will be that happy medium. I really hope the pickups are decent. They could be really bad. You never know. And I was looking at them, and unfortunately, I don't think they're like regular sized P90s, which means getting a, yes, matching scissors and Velcro always. That's where all the tones is. I don't think maybe I don't know if we'll be able to get replacements until I see it in person. Hopefully it's just like normal P90 size. That way if I do end up wanting to replace them, I can. If not, screwed. And those are just the pickups that you're gonna have to deal with. Buy an EQ pedal, I guess. Now, like I said, a lot of heavier bands use baritones, but I got the inspiration of getting a baritone from actually Best Coast. The other guitar, since there's two guitars, the female singer, her guitar, and then the other guitarist, instead of using a bass, which he does on some tracks, uses a baritone to get that low end that they need to kind of fill out the sound. And that way they're not tonally on top of each other live. So it definitely comes in handy. And that's kind of what I'm hoping with this baritone. I used to have the Squire baritone Jazzmaster, really cool in Antigua burst. A lot of fun, but due to circumstances, I had to get rid of it. Forget why. I don't think it was anything really pressing. But you know, all things work out because now I'm getting a Tele Cabernita style with the baritone scale length, which is going to be awesome. Anyways, got tape Velcro just, you know, for those splotches. Let's grab G Dynamic Distortion. How's it sound? Do I sound okay, by the way, people watching? Is it quality? Are the levels okay? Because it shows that I'm kind of low, but yet I'm cranking this thing. I don't know what it is. Like when I'm using my DAW, I get plenty of level. When I use like browser-based stuff, my level on my mic, even though it never changes on the front end, just seems so much lower. And it actually is causing a problem to where like I digitally have to clip my mic just to get a decent level on the other end, especially because I use a mobile or a browser-based podcasting service thingy. There it is. And yeah. Anyways, and so I always find getting my levels right to be a pain. So I'd love to know how I sound out there. And yeah. Now, I do want to talk about the Jazz Cabernita, though. It's pretty awesome. And it's on my list to get. Depending on how rare they make these, how like limited run, I might not be able to. If they're anything like the alternates, thanks for the post on Tone Tricks, Brian. If they're anything like the alternate realities, they're going to come and go pretty quick, especially the popular ones are going to sell it real quick. And I have a feeling that's going to be one of the popular ones. Now, I know everyone's like super ecstatic about the Cyclone, Tornado, and Supersonic. Supersonic's whatever. It's a Mustang with 3 pickups. Whatever. Yeah. But I had to get the baritone, even though it's in black. It looks classy, but you know, I like to be a little flashy, as everyone knows, with my seafoam, sort of seafoam, and more seafoam. Let's get these paper towels off the board. I had the paper towels because I didn't want them sticking. So that being said, I'm going to pull all of these off. Now, kind of give you a heads up of my order thinking. Now, this is where my, phone would have came in handy. A fucking phone that I can't live stream from because I don't have 1,000 subs, and YouTube has like the weirdest hangups when it comes to what you can and can't do with, excuse me, with their services. Why? I have no flipping idea. Anyways, so what I'm thinking is what's going in front of the HX Stomp are going to be all the dirt and this guy. Because I really feel like this guy, the echo sounds so good in front. It has to go in the front. It really, really does. No, it wouldn't be, Brian. I'm going to disagree with you. The Cabernita Thin Line in Olympic White. No, I think it looks terrible. I really do. I don't think it looks good at all with the black pickups, or does it have just the black pick guard? No, which one is it? Which one is it? And hold on, guys. I'm some technical the crap Anita. There we go. So signal chain, half horse into kind of at random. We'll do the Varitek into the 1981 into the Mystery Brain, which then would go into the HX Stomp. In the loop, we're going to have the third dimension chorus. I'm actually thinking about getting a different chorus pedal. This guy's really fucking big. Pardon my words. I don't mean to curse on this channel, but it's really big. That's what she said. But it sounds good, and it was cheap, and if it does the job, it does the job. I already have enough space on my board as is to where I can fit several other things that I'm still working on. But third dimension, the loop is gonna hit that first. Into the the Like My Pedals Wells delay with tap tempo. Lastly, into the Deluxe Plus by Mr. Black. Now, I'm kind of figuring out how I want this to be laid out. Oh, I should also mention, I think no tuner. Well, you know what? You're right, Brian. For now, I've been rocking this Polytune, but I think I'm going to get an actual Polytune pedal. But because I'm not a live guy, I don't necessarily need a tuner. There's also a tuner in the HX Stomp. It's not my favorite. It's actually, I much prefer the clip-on over it. That's how much not my favorite it is. This guy, he is going to go at the very end, I should say. So it's going to go, actually, I think I'm going to put him after the 1981s, but before this guy, I think. Or I could get a TRS cable and put this in the loop of this. Hey, SD Design, welcome. Thank you so much. I know you're on 6 Cycle Hum a lot. I'm glad to see you're tuning in. We're talking pedal boards. We're talking Paranormal Series. Chernobyl mod that Dunlop. Yeah, but if I do that, then I can't get the custom topper from Andrew of Get Offset doing the TeleTalks thing, because I'll have a big old square right there with the tuning. Also, that's a little bit out of my price range, Brian. Not everybody can just, lay money on their weeb-like addictions and gear. Anyways, like I say, I might put in the loop between this is basically, like I said, the loop of this puts it in between the preamp section of this pedal and the echo section of this pedal. That way I can get all of my gain going into the volume and do it like that. But I don't know. Maybe. Still thinking about it. Pedals that I would like to get. I don't know who Johnny Bean is. Saturday Live. Well, you know, they're probably all over there. That, or, you know, just the fact that, you know, I love all my subscribers and we're doing very well. But we're a lot smaller than other channels at this current moment in time. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. We're definitely going to hit the half horse fuzz first. Then we'll go dynamic distortion. Then 1981. Then into the mystery brain. All of these are pretty much top mount jacks. So, sorry. Also, I realized that this thing is not that sensitive. But all these are top mount jacks. And we can keep them pretty much separated. Again, we're drinking Pink Boots by Harland. That's some good stuff. That is some good stuff. Now, can't really see the board. Here, if I can secure everything, I can maybe lift it up. I also need to unplug this. Sorry for that noise, guys. Let me turn that all the way down. I know, noob. I don't know what I'm doing here, and I'm making popping noises. I understand. As I drop that. Okay. So, this is fucking heavy. Part of my language again. Look at all this space I have, guys. Even throwing that up there like that. Have all this right here. I technically probably move that more like that. And look at that. I have that chunk there. I got that chunk there, and I got this chunk down here, which if I did some more, you know, rearranging, I probably could fit even more pedals. So I need to figure out offset Tele's yay or nay. I'm going to say nay. No, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, they're cool. And if you're curious about one, I think the Squire is going to be really good to get because it's only $400. But not my thing. Not my thing. Any thoughts on the Squire Classic Vibe Telecasters? Actually, lots of thoughts. One, I have a demo up on the channel. Give me 1 second here. Of this guy, which is the 60s double bound. Love this guitar. Really, really cool. It's a great player. And it's actually why I'm excited about the Paranormal, because they're coming from the same factory and they're that same like spec of guitars as the Classic Vibe series. I also have another Classic Vibe that is I'm working on doing a demo that I got used. That if you've probably seen on my Instagram at TeleTalks. And that's this guy. I got this guy used. The wood grain got like sanded. It's got this Callum bridge that's meant for like a Bigsby. I think I want to put a Bigsby on here. This guitar is so amazing. So amazing. I actually like this one better than I do the regular 60s Classic Vibe. It's got a lot more mojo and it just feels a little bit better. Now, I do have a bias against Rosewood or Laurel. Any dark Fretboard. I'm not usually the fond of. I like a all maple fretboard. It's my preferred. Um, but this thing sounds killer. Now I had a 72 Deluxe made in Mexico that was in this really beautiful blue. That was a custom paint job. Its pickups were definitely a lot more muddier than these guys. These wide range. They're not really wide range pickups. They're just shaped like it. They're just glorified humbuckers. But lots of mojo. Love this guitar. It's probably my second favorite right now, with obviously my Cabernita being number one. S Designs, thank you. The board itself is a Blackbird Feather 1224 and custom seafoam in ivory. In case you do not know, I have a thing for seafoam. Lord, scared the living Jesus out of me. By the way, I'm live. Everybody just got that. Oh. And I come home early. Anyways, I pre-ordered the Cabernet Thin Line. That thing is really cool. What color did you get? Of course, Fiesta Red, because that thing looks amazing in Fiesta Red. But yeah, that's definitely on my list of wants. But I think the baritone is just a little bit more niche and could be good. Yeah, I hope they all sound and play well. I've heard so far that they definitely need some kind of like some setup out of the box. So maybe going through like a Sweetwater might be good to pre-order since they do the 55-point inspection. I was talking to my Sweetwater rep. He's like, the first batch usually is a little bit wonky, so they require a little bit more attention. So if you order through Sweetwater, hopefully they take care of that for you. I think that's what I want to do for the board. Things that I would like to have for the board. I'd like to have an ambient reverb of some sort, maybe like a slow. Now the HX Stomp can do ambient reverbs, but I have the DSP pretty much maxed out because I run two amps in stereo with 2 IRs. Your girlfriend, are you camming again? You know what, Brian? I don't even know what to say. Did scare the living crap out of me though. I thought she was staying the night at her parents' house because she had a long day out. They were in Victorville. Can we see your board? Yes. Sorry, I had a more better. Like I said earlier, I had an idea to use my phone. That way we can get better shots and I can move it around easier. But YouTube will not let you use your phone if you have under 1,000 subs. So I have to kind of like lift it up to show you guys. Oh, this is kind of what I've got working so far. We're going to go from half horse into Varitek into 1981 into the Mystery Brain, which is a preamp pedal and a Space Echo in one pedal. It's the preamp of a Space Echo that's engageable and you can overdrive it. And it has a Abbey switch, which is basically just a harmonic overtone. So it adds a little bit more a little bit more gain. So basically like 2 gain stages essentially going into the Echoplex, going into the volume pedal, going into the HX Stomp. Now in the HX Stomp, we're going to have the we're going to have the TC Electronic third dimension into the Wells, into the Deluxe Plus. And yeah, that's what we're doing for now. As you can see, I have a lot of empty spaces. I think I want to get a phaser because I miss having a phaser. And I always like to run my phaser in the front. So before everything, yes, I do go ampless because I live in a apartment. So while I do have amps, I never get to use them. So the HX Stomp is providing all the amps, running stereo amps, stereo IRs. And yeah, so that's going to be my amp. And then I'll rely on pedals for all my other tones, if you will. Might want to get a looper. I miss having one. HX Stomp has one. I don't like it. The bucket, the way to engage it and disengage it sometimes feels very finicky, especially when you want to do like a dead stop. I sometimes find it really hard to do that. And yeah, like I said, ambient reverb, maybe like a slow. And I think that will do it. Like a phaser, a slow. I don't need any more dirt. Like I said, I would like to eliminate one of these two. Like I feel like I only need one on my board. Just don't know which one is really going to outweigh it. Because while they both do higher gain stuff, they do it very differently. So I'm justified keeping them both on for now. Like I said, the reason I want this echo to go into the front of the HX Stomp, I just think it sounds better in front of an amp than in the loop. This guy is going to go in the loop. These guys go in the loop. So there is that. My effects are worth about $500. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a good budget board. A lot of these, like especially this section right here, other than the half horse, which is very affordable in my eyes, 150. I feel like that's good. And so is this. So is this. This is 200, but they're also kind of bougie. I get it. They're very boutiquey. This right here, my buddy makes one. My co-host of Just Surprise Me, the podcast. He makes these. They're amazing. They're like $150. It's a delay with a tap tempo. Hard to find an actual dedicated tap tempo, and it has subdivisions for $150 in this small of an enclosure. Talk about budget. TC Electronic, third dimension chorus. That's a great budget thing. I'm also a little bit buzzed, and I got some dry mouth, some common mouth. Cost is always relevant. Yeah. I mean, I completely understand a lot of this stuff. I definitely had to sell quite a bit to get, and also I had to took me a while to build this back up. I had a complete board that I truly loved about 2 years ago, and then I got laid off. I had to sell it all, which is unfortunate. So this is me kind of rebuilding that. And of course, Brian's asking about IRs because he's a little IR obsessed as of late. Oh, and I should mention my actual power for this whole thing. It's Adios or Atos or whatever by Walrus Audio. How many plugs is that? 8. Sufficient. Also has a 120 volt out, AC out, which then is plugged up to the power supply for the HX Stomp. Now, if you guys don't know, the HX Stomp's power supply is ridiculous, disgusting, and trash. see if I can pull it out over here. It's this guy. One, the cable's like 3 feet long, and two, look at this. It's ugly and hideous and not practical, literally at all. So I got the Mission Engineering 529HC. Goes in USB-C goes in here, which then goes to the wall, or it could be powered by a battery bank into the 9-volt out, which is 2000 milliamps, which is what you need for the HX Stomp. A lot of people have cheaper solutions to power the HX Stomp. However, this is the only power supply that will not void your warranty for the Line 6, if I recall correctly. So there's that. Yes, Brian's a fractal boy. He loves his fractal. He also loves orange amps, although he's ditching his orange amps. Sell out. Calling you out, Brian. Anyway, this thing's cool, especially if you can power the HX Stomp battery bank. Like, it's amazing. It really is. Yeah. IRs I use, by the way, in case anybody cares. Nobody asked me. Brian didn't ask me, even though he already knows. I use all Celestion IRs just because I got like the 5 custom packs for like $30. So the main ones that I use are the 4x12 greenbacks close back, a 1x12 greenback close back, which is close to my like orange cab that I had back in the day that I absolutely loved. I have a 2x12 creamback open backs, 2x12 blue back open backs, and a 1x10 gold back that is actually probably my most favorite IR that I have of those. It just does something to the sound that's just so good, especially for saturations. So yeah, guys, any questions thus far? Anything you guys want to talk about? Figure we kind of, how do I remember all that by memory? Actually, it's because I literally had a conversation with Brian about them the other day, and I looked up which ones I had. So it's still relatively fresh in my brain. Yeah. As I spill some delicious beer. I hope that I get to do live more often. Throw that CC on. Oh, actually, let's see if I can reach it. Let's see. Where's it at? It's behind the computer. Brian is letting me borrow the most iconic and arguably a modern classic pedal, if there ever was one, the carbon copy. You can get these regularly for like $80 on Reverb. Is pretty much my, I would say, favorite analog delay pedal of like all time. It's definitely a classic. I'm actually going to do a demo. Kind of how like Anderton's does the delay vid. It is a dark delay, but I like it like that. But you could always try the mini, and yeah. TC flashback delay. It's a matter of taste. If you want like multiple sounds, obviously go the TC electronic. I used to have an Alter Ego X4. That is probably still one of my favorite delays of all time too. Like top 5 delays. I'm gonna go right now. Spoiler alert. Carbon copy, TC electronic Alter Ego, Mystery Brain, Wells, and then probably the Boss DM2. As you can see, there's kind of a pattern there. I like all dark analog, vintagey, tape delay, stuff like that. Nothing bright. DD500 is a classic. Carbon copy better than the Boss DM2. Carbon copy. Now the DM2, the old DM2 doesn't have a lot of time, I think it only goes to like 300 milliseconds, which is vastly increased if you get the Waza. But the original only had like 350 milliseconds. This guy has 100 or 800 milliseconds, I believe. And if you get the smaller one, like the mini, I think is almost 1,000 milliseconds. But I would say if I had to choose between the two, DM2 Waza. What verbs you use? Oh, okay. I would still say carbon copy because it's cheaper. If you're budget minded, get it. It also has a modulation feature that is quite nice and lush. The internals has 2 knobs for rate and depth, so you can adjust that. The DM2 is short. I think it might be 250 ml. It might be 250 ml, not 300. Just real quick to also answer verbs I will be using. This guy is my main guy. Perfect amp in the box style reverb. The Mr. Black Deluxe Plus, so I can activate that tremolo separately instead of having to wind up the intensity knob like I did on the first version. And then if I have the DSP and the HX stomp, I can use some of the verbs in there. But more than likely, I need to get another verb. I'm thinking maybe a slow by Walrus or, maybe a Dispatch Master by Earthquaker Devices. Yes, Mr. Black survived in post. Luckily, I was very lucky. They did not pack it very well. Not Mr. Black. I bought it used. The person who sold it to me did not pack it well at all. Could have easily broken the foot switches and stuff. Luckily, it was fine. Now, I don't need 3 delays on my board, Brian. That's why it's not going on there. This guy, I do want to do a shootout with this guy. Keep in mind, this is almost a $400 delay pedal. This is significantly less. This is like $85. I'm going to do a shootout between the two before I have to give it back. And yeah, because this has a modulation feature, so does this. So, and they're both analog delays. Granted, this is trying to do the tape thing. This is unabashedly just an analog delay. Hey, you said you had a Cabernita, or am I tripping? No, you are not tripping. Here is my number 1 guitar ever. I adore this thing. I love this thing so very, very, very much. That is my girlfriend who came home early. I thought she was actually staying the night, but she decided to come home early. So yeah, scared me when she opened up the door, and I wasn't expecting anybody to be home. But yeah, Jonathan asked me about Oni and Cabernita. This is my number 1. This is my Cabernita. Has a hip shot bridge, a Gretsch style knob that I put on there, upgraded pickguard that I got, and a Gretsch style switch. So it's a little more heavy duty. Still has the Fidelitron pickups, the standards. I've thought about getting the TV Jones, but I can't really justify it because of just how good these things sound. I really, maybe the TV Jones sound better, but like that's like $300 that I don't necessarily need to spend because I'm super, super happy with these. Actually, story behind this, the person, the shadow figure that you mentioned in the background, actually got me this as a gift. And her name is Shelly because of that. My girlfriend named her Shelly because the pickguard and it reminds her of the beach. Brandon Well, yeah, pretty good. Also, this guitar sparked my obsession with Seafoam. I can't get the Varitek's off. There we go. And even my board, you can't really see it. I'm going to tilt this down just for a second. Is also seafoam. So yeah, this is my number one. It does it all. I feel like Gretsch style Filtertron pickups are the most versatile pickups for a person who likes to do multiple genres. They can really do them all. So yeah. But anyways, which is your favorite pickup position on the pickups? Great question. I like middle and I like the neck the most. Bridge is good for like just good old fashioned rock, but for clean, I'm always on the neck or the middle. The neck can get a little woofy depending on the sounds that I'm using. Like if I'm using a lot of bottom end, then I'll switch to the middle so it gets some of that bridge brightness and takes away some of that low end thump. But for cleans, it's always on the neck. It's so tasty, so good. And that's actually for most of my pickups. I favor the neck because I mainly play like ambient and clean stuff. Yeah. By the way, thank you everyone for tuning in for our first ever inaugural live stream. Some good stuff. Filtertrons are so cool. Brian wants to get some. Another little rant about the carbon copy. I've tried a lot of analog delays, analog sound, tape delays. Nothing makes more beautiful feedback noise than the carbon copy, I feel. Like this is your Radiohead like jam pedal that you just you increase the region and delay time and you just go crazy space sounds. Absolutely amazing. Stuff I have planned for the channel. Let's go over that. As you know, I'm not very consistent with posting. I do apologize about that. And I really do. I do apologize about that. But I have a way now to put out more consistent content. And it's going to be a lot of short demos while still focusing on our main two big in this series, which is Keep It Simple Stupid, which for all you guys who don't know, Keep It Simple Stupid is basically a small pedalboard series. Doesn't have to necessarily be affordable, but basically it's an idea to get a tone or a genre down only using 3 or 4 pedals, regardless of price. Like just 3 or 4 pedals to get all your tones. Brian has been on. He was actually the very first episode we ever did of Keep It Simple Stupid. He has one on pop punk. Check that out. And, you know, we have a lot more of those coming up. I recently did one with Eric Marrow. That's going to go live, I'm thinking, by the end of this coming week. But we have short demos coming up. First 1981, then Third Dimension. We're also going to be still doing episodes of TeleTalks. We actually have something coming up. I'm going to do a TeleTalks of the Thin Line classic vibe I have. So hope you guys will look forward to seeing that. Brian, I think, is going to be on an episode of Talking Teles as well with his bandmates, Tele, that he just put together. And yeah. Oh, speaking of which, Eric is here. Eric Marrow, if you haven't checked out his channel, he does great demos. Really informative, concise, and to the point. Super awesome. Somebody asked me, Jonathan asked me what I think about the full tone controversy. I think if you're going to talk smack, if you're going to call out people and treat your customers poorly, that don't be surprised when retailers drop you, because the people that they sell your pedals to come to them and complain, and then talk about how terrible the company service is. I do believe he was using dog whistles, metaphoric dog whistles, to with the kind of language he used when referring to the riots that are currently going on. And I have a problem with that, and I will not have his stuff ever. That's it. That's kind of all I want to say about that. Belly Puck and Echo Rec pedals. Yes. The EP Echoplex pedal is really, really cool. It's really good. It's a lot of fun. I remember trying one and I just played it for like hours in a store. I don't know why I didn't buy it. Probably because I couldn't afford it at the time. I was probably broke. But yeah, I really do enjoy just dark sounding overdrives, or dark sounding delays. Already drunk. Golly. What's the new blue pedal you got? I don't have a blue pedal. I have like this kind of blue, like a baby blue. It is the Deluxe Plus by Mr. Black. It is a amp style reverb and tremolo unit. It's awesome. It's really, really, really good. It's my go-to. That Varitek one. Oh, Seafoam. That's Seafoam, dude. That ain't blue, and I put pink on it. It's the dynamic distortion. It is, as he describes it, when it's in low gain, it's like a tube screamer. When it's in high gain, it's like a fuzz bass. But if you look at the circuit, it's basically a Ibanez sonic distortion. It sounds really, really good, and I can't wait to show a demo on here. It's really, really good. There's another person who has a kind of a shady past. Granted, he's never been a complete a-hole to his fan base or just people in general, but he has done some shady stuff. That's why I bought it used. And the reason why I got it used and not like a sonic distortion, one, Seafoam. As I mentioned earlier, I want to do an all Seafoam pedal board just for fun to match my guitar. Also, I got this stupid cheap used. Got this for $85 used. Which is this crazy cheap money. Like, is the cheapest out of all of them on there. Goes to show you that if you use offers, sometimes they work in your favor on reverb. And it sounds great. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm definitely gonna have to think long and hard whether or not I can justify have both 1981 and the dynamic distortion, because like I said, they both do that higher gain thing just differently. I'm just not sure which one is going to stay on the board. Right now, both will be on the board. But yeah. Any other questions? About an hour. I think we can go ahead and should have offered 69. Should have, but it did not. I offered 80. And he met me at 85. A mini Ibanez SD9 would be cool. That would definitely be cool. Be a lot of fun. The Mini 89 is a great sounding pedal. Brian has that pedal, and he had it because they didn't make a carbon copy Mini at the time. It's a great analog delay. All right, Jonathan, thank you so much. Thank you for your future sub. Appreciate it. Going to be putting out a lot more content, and I hope to go live a lot more with a slightly better setup than this. Like I said, this was very last minute because I thought I was going to be able to do it one way, and I was not able to. Now stay tuned. I'll put all this together and I'll maybe do like a short video. I just don't have really good cabling right now. I just have random cables, and I'd like to get something a little custom. Do I ever feel like the HX Tom holds me back? Not at all. Not at all. Because I really like to integrate it with a pedal board, it's fine. Like if I was relying, actually, honestly, if I was just relying on the HX Stomp, I could pretty much get 90% of the sounds that I'm looking for. Honestly, about 90% of the sounds that I'm looking for. But you know, I like my pedals. So the fact that I have a HX Stomp version, like it's a great all-in-one solution to when I need it to be all-in-one, but it also plays well with pedals, and that's why I got it. HX Stomp is pretty incredible. Right now, the reason why I have all these pedals too is because I'm kind of maxing out the DSP currently a little bit because I'm doing 2 amps, 2 IRs, and like 1 reverb, like a always on kind of like subtle reverb to like add room ambience to it. And the routing is insane. Excuse me, been drinking. The routing is insane. You know, it's got effects loop, stereo ins, stereo outs, MIDI, a headphone out, expression out, 2 expressions out, I should say. It's just a beast. It's probably the best investment I've ever made, especially being a apartment musician in a bedroom musician that can't use literally like any volume, so I have to use headphones. It's great. We need to do the AX8 versus the HX Stomp, Brian. Definitely, we'll get that set up for sure soon. So yeah. Well, guys, that about does it. I'm AreJay of TeleTalks. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on our first ever live stream. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sticking along. Have some great stuff coming up with Eric coming out later. His episode of Keep It Simple Stupid later on this week. It's awesome. He totally cheats the system, but I think you guys are going to really dig it. We have some stuff coming up with Brian that we're trying to work together. More importantly, I have that short demo series coming out starting not this coming week, but the week after. And starting with the 1981, that's going to be awesome. And I hope you guys like it and let me know what you think. Thank you again for joining me. Everyone, be safe, be kind. I love you all. Have a great next week, and we'll do this again soon. Cheers. Have a good one, guys.